All right, let's switch gears now and talk about fuel, gasoline. So,
What were we talking about?
air mostly. Somebody's going to have to remind me when to shut down here at
It's going to go all the way to 50?
45. All right, let's start off with octane rating. Octane rating. Let me see here. Let's go to. When you go to the gas store, is this correct?
Yeah.
Yep.
Last time I had was like from Nevada or something. I'm like, what the heck? Yes, that's right there. It doesn't look right. What do we have?
87, 89, 91.
I only used my last car used 91, so I don't know. But anyway, depending on what state you live in, this may or may not be correct. If you live in this state with all of us, then it's not. So let's see. We have. Hang on, let's do this backwards. We have 91, 87, right? 88,
87, 89.
89, 91. All right, that's what we have. So you go to the gas store, and those are your three choices. If you're still like, don't care about the environment and driving a, fossil fuel car. All right. So, what's that?
He said even better, diesel.
Yeah. Okay. So you go to the store, and how do you choose? Well, if you like your car, love your car, you get this one. If you like it, you get this one. And if you don't like it, you get that one, right?
Get with the manufacturer.
Well, it depends on what you put in turbo. Depends on your compression ratio.
Yeah. So, well, a lot of people think that. It's like, oh, this is my baby. I only want premium in it. Well, it's a Nissan Sentra, so I don't know why you're... No offense if you have a Nissan. Does anybody have a Nissan Sentra in here? Do you have a Nissan Sentra? Sorry, okay. No offense. Does anybody have a Nissan Rogue? All right, I'm going to save with that one. That was my last car. So you drive your Nissan Rogue, and I love my Nissan Rogue, so I'm always going to put 91 in. What am I doing?
Wasting money.
You're wasting money is all you're doing. So all this is the anti-knock or the octane rating of the fuel. And the reason why it gets more expensive, it's not different fuel. It's the same fuel stock. They just add more stuff to it so that it doesn't knock or ping. All right, so in your car, you can hear knocking and pinging. And in aircraft, you cannot. There's an indicator. It's when the connecting rod leaves the crankcase. That is your indication that it was pinging and knocking. So because the propeller's too noisy. So what was that? Yes. So yes, we have. That is what octane rating is about. It is an expression of the fuel's anti-detonation characteristics. It does not mean it's better fuel. An expression of the fuel's anti-detonation characteristics. All right, so iso-octane, ISO octane, that is a type of gas, gasoline, has a rating of 100. Normal heptane, a type of gas, has a rating of 0. So I do not want to run normal heptane in my Nissan Rogue.
No, it's a Nissan. It's not like you really care.
It's already knocking and pinging.
Transmission probably already fell apart.
Yeah. All right, so we have these two things. We're just going to kind of remember those right there, and then we're going to move on and come back around to why is that important. Well, I can just tell you that basically then to test a fuel, you will get an engine, a test engine, and some of these test engines have variable compression. And what they will do is they will mix the isooctane and the normal heptane in a, they'll mix it until they get a pinging out of the fuel at a certain compression, and then that's how they will give it their rating, right? So I guess if you had 80% isooctane and 20% normal heptane, I think that would be a rating probably 80 right there. Oh, I'm actually right. That's my notes right here, if I would just read down. So, okay, so gas, whenever I say gas, I'm meaning gasoline. Anti-knock, or octane rating. Everybody knows knocking, pinging is detonation, right? Those are all the same word, or same thing, just different words. Is determined by several methods, several different methods. And this whole subject of octane rating has become really a very hot issue about our aviation fuels because they're trying to outlaw the 100 low lead. And so understanding this, you can keep up with the conversation of why these things are important and why some things work and some things don't. So research octane number, or RON for research octane number, is the most common method for determining the anti-knock rating. I don't think I need to write all this. It's determined by running fuel in a test engine with a variable compression ratio under controlled conditions and comparing the results with those for mixtures of isooctane and normal heptane. If the test fuel matches the performance of 80% isooctane and 80% normal heptane, the fuel is given a rating of 80. So I could put if 80% ISO, I'll just put ISO, and 20% normal heptane, I'll put NP, that would equal 80 octane. Follow? 80 octane. The other method is the motor octane number. Or MON for short. This one's done a little different. I shall read it. Determined at 900 RPM engine speed instead of the 600 used for the RON, MON testing uses a similar test engine to that used by RON testing, but with a preheated fuel mixture, higher engine speed, and variable ignition timing to further stress the fuel's knock resistance. Depending on the composition of the fuel, the MON of a modern pump gasoline will be about 8 to 12 octane lower than the RON, but there's no direct link between RON and MON. Pump gasoline specifications typically require both of them. So if you go to the fuel pump and you need that 91 octane, how do they get the 91 octane? Well, you have to RON and the MON, and then you would average it, and you would get, what does that say right there? R plus M divided by 2 method. Every single pump has that on there. Can you see that?
Wow.
1 mod over 2.
Right there. R plus M divided by 2.
God, I can't wait to explain this to the person next
Just
to
the,
me.
I know.
I was about to say that.
No. Yeah, no, it's me.
Yeah, you know what that means? Oh, that's the RON plus MON, by 2 method. Well, you know.
Please get away from me.
You have to explain that joke. I've heard it before, and now I don't know what it is.
It's
But
just like someone's going off on something random, and it's just like, why are you telling me?
Oh, okay.
We're at a Wendy's right now. Why do I need to know about
Wow,
that?
sure.
Cares?
Just keep my bacon here.
Like
Should
going
fill
and
up.
complaining to a Wendy's employee about something tangential.
Please just take your order.
About like,
all right, so the thing that I found said that avgas uses a method closer 2 mon. So you won't see the Ron plus mon divided by 2. It's just, they give us a number, and it doesn't say it on the pump at all. It just gives a number. So a rating of 100 means the fuel is equivalent to 100% isooctane. But the problem is we've had fuel in the past that exceeded 100. So therefore, avgas can exceed 100 and is therefore referred to as a performance number.
Sounds like people just keep changing the rules when it suits them.
You're just not figuring this out. Welcome to adulthood.
Everybody loves to lists.
So it doesn't matter if you want to call avgas, say, oh, it's 100 octane or 100 performance number. We don't say it's 100 performance number. We call it 100 octane, or just call it 100 low lead.
And the question, that implies there's 100 high.
There was.
Oh, man.
That'd be like 120.
What? Okay. So now we know what octane is, how we get it. Well, let's talk more specifically about avgas. Aviation gasoline. We're really in kind of a weird time where there's different gases out there, and it's almost a little hard to figure out, keep track of this, and yet you're still expected to know fuels that I don't think exist any longer. So we can, without going too crazy, we're going to talk about some of them. Now, our aviation fuel is all dyed a specific color so that we can easily identify what octane rating or performance number it is. And that was one of the things that you had to do when I was a DME, because you had to do a thing with fuels. And so I just had little baby food jars with food coloring in it because I found that the fuel contamination was bad for the babies and their baby food. So I just used.
Babies.
I know.
What the hell?
Anyway, but you had to identify. So I'd give you samples of fuel. I had one that was blue, and you would say that is. Then I had one that was red, and that was 87. And then I had one with just some water in it, and that was Jet A. So, all right. So red. So we had red. Our red fuel was called 8087. I gave it 2 numbers. So rich and lean. So the numbers indicate the performance. So the numbers indicate performance numbers, or anti-knock. Or anti-knock characteristics. So it was gave it an 80 with the lean mixture. And we're going to talk a lot about what's lean and what's rich in a little bit. And 87 with a rich mixture. And this contained about 0.5 grams of lead per gallon of fuel.
So that's actually low lead.
Yeah, didn't have a lot of lead. And where's my performance number? All the way down to 80. So this is not real high, it's low octane fuel. Okay.
What would typically run in that then? Because that's lower than cars.
Oh, Continental O200s, 300s, 85s, 65s, that whole Continental line, all the low horsepower Lycoming, lower horsepower Lycoming, yeah.
Okay.
What were those
GSE maybe.
6. Yeah.
Not
do anything to the gas, or you just fill up a bunch of car gas and go put it in your airplane if you got a CC spec or something like
What?
that? If you have an engine that can run on the red,
Uh-huh.
you can just fill up a bunch of containers full of car gas and put it in your airplane and you don't have to do anything except get an STC.
So, yeah, legally, if you wanted to run it in your A65, all you have to do is buy the STC, which is a piece of paper that you paid money for, and now start filling up with car gas.
I don't have to do anything with the airplane.
Nothing.
Fuck yeah.
In fact, when I was running the cylinder shop, if I was sitting at my desk and somebody walked in that side of the building with the cylinder and set it on my desk and said, "Hey, I got a cylinder for you overhaul," I could just look at it and go, "So you running Chevron or Shell?" Well, how do you know? Because I can tell. It is that Tectron, whatever it is, that stuff cleans them intake ports. And if it was all gunked and nasty and I didn't want to touch it, avgas. Avgas is it's gummy and leaves residues and stuff.
What's that substitute to it?
Car gas?
Yeah.
No, because I can't run it in my airplane. There are no STCs because I need.
It's running 80, right?
I cannot run 80. My airplane
Yeah.
needs 100, and so car gas is out for me. And so lead is bad. It's bad across the board.
You come off spark plugs.
It's bad for spark plugs. Bad for the oil. There's one possibility of it being good. It may have one positive attribute, lead, and it's valve seats. So there was a problem, especially with cars in certain years when they went from leaded fuel to unleaded. They had valve seat recession, which basically is the valve like pounded itself into the seat. Well, they think that it was either like micro welding happened. So when the valve seat slammed, the valve and seat slammed together, that they would have little micro welding. Then it would open back up and kind of rip a piece out, and it would stick to the valve. And the valve or seat, as it rotates, would then grind into it, right? But as long as you have hardened seats, then it's a non-issue. So that is the big thing right now with the fuels, as we're looking at going to unleaded fuels in aviation. Are the seats hard enough to withstand this?
AV people have made a video about that not too long ago.
Oh, everybody's making, yeah, it's a big thing.
It's a trick. They're just going to make leaded gas illegal, and then the planes aren't going to be safe to fly, and then no one's allowed to fly private, and then only the rich people get to fly.
Conspiracy theorist over there. All right, we had that. We had purple. Oops, that's 1, 2, 2. Purple. Never seen it. That was 115/145. That was for military and racing planes. Only a few aircraft were ever certified for this, but military airplanes weren't certified. So I'm just going to skip to this. 4.6 grams of lead per gallon.
Is that the same thing as milliliters?
Okay, so here's the problem, and I keep thinking about this as I'm writing this every time. I have found some publications that will have have the same numbers and say milliliters, and some publications will have the same number as grams. And so I thought, well, is a milliliter the same as a gram? Not in lead. It's completely different. So some publications will say milliliters and some will say grams. And I have yet to figure out who's telling the truth. And they'll give me the same numbers. So I just decided I'm going to go with grams and let it go. Unless the publication I stole it from specifically said milliliters, then I'll write milliliters. But otherwise, the publications I read actually said grams. So I said, well, I'll just leave it. So, then we had green. This green, I've never seen purple. Green was before my time. Green 100, which was actually 100/130. I read no lead limit. But usually 3 grams per gallon. And then we come to the blue 100 low lead, which was actually still 100 130. And that became a problem because, and I didn't even know this till recently, they didn't know what to call it. Because they couldn't call it, because there was a green and the blue, and they had to distinguish between the two. So we just stuck with the name 100 low lead and just said 100. And we never talked about the 100 130, but it's still 100 130. I read one thing that said it's actually, if you really, when it's really tested it, it's like 104 130. I'm like, oh, it's a little bit better. So remember that low lead, LL, or low lead, is a relative term. It's low compared to blue. So it's low compared up to green.
Two.
It's low compared to green, but it's not low. Just, when you look at it that way. Let's see. Yeah, I see. Has 2.12 grams of lead per gallon. So right about half of what the green was is what one publication said, but it's definitely about closer to half of purple. Let me see.
Your past your mark.
Okay, I'll just finish this one out. So just for comparison, leaded autogas, when we used to have leaded autogas, that was 2.2 grams per gallon. So when we say low lead, we're talking about an equivalent to our highest leaded fuel in cars ever used is our low lead. So, all right. If you're environmentalists watching this, please go away.